is agorism, right? So it has to have that black or gray market elements. So that's very quick and shortened version of what agorism is. The difference between us and like ANCAPs is that ANCAPs will engage in entrepreneurship purely for the profit motive, which we think is totally fine. But we have that extra element of disintermediating the state. So we'll do things like start companies in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. We start 3D printer companies. Maybe you 3D print guns and sell them in a blue state or something like that. Not legal advice, of course. But I'm just trying to give you an example. So that's a little bit about what it is. And to me, if you step back and you look at the enemy, the state apparatus, the beating heart of the enemy is the money printer. And if they didn't have the ability to print money, then they wouldn't have the ability to slaughter 20,000 children in Palestine in the last 6 months, or 100,000 people in Palestine in general. They wouldn't have money to start wars in Tehran, or to bomb Yemen, or whatever other country they're bombing today. I don't even have the news on them. So what we do is we need to find a way to stop them from slaughtering these children. And the only way to do that is to stop using fiat currency. And we can't bum rush the Federal Reserve. We're not going to run in there with guns drawn. If we do, it's not going to work out very well for us. We can't vote them out. I mean, they can't even get a bill to audit the Federal Reserve passed. How the hell are they going to get a bill to end the Federal Reserve passed? So we're not going to do so with violence. We're not going to do so through legislation. The only way that we could do this is by having a better product than they have, and that is cryptocurrency. For a while, we all felt that pseudonymity was sufficient, right? In the early days of cryptocurrency, that's what was accepted on the Silk Road, right? It was Bitcoin, and we all thought the fact that we were hiding behind this, string of characters, that was good enough. Well, turns out it's not. Okay, so we have people like Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus, who has been locked or is being persecuted. They're trying to lock him in a cage for revealing the government's attempt to hijack Bitcoin. A cartel of banks to just voluntarily give up a monopoly on the issuance of currency. Who in their right mind, if you had a money printer, who would give up a monopoly on the money printer? I would. I can't say that I would. Would you guys? I don't know if I would. To tell you the truth, I'm really not sure that I would. It's irrational for us to expect them to just give it up peacefully. They were always going to fight back. There was always going to be Roman Storms and Alexei Pertsevs and Ross Ulbrichts. That was going to happen. But what concerns me, guys, is that these are high value targets. Roger Ver is one of the primary funders of the liberty movement, the cryptocurrency space in general, crypto anarchism, voluntarism. And Roman Storm and Alexei Pertsev are some of the best damn developers in the world. And then, of course, the list goes on and on and on. Look what they're doing to Ian Freeman, right? Ian Freeman being persecuted for selling cryptocurrency. I didn't know that was a crime. I mean, didn't we all do that on P2P exchanges? Like, isn't that how we all acquired our first cryptocurrencies? The whole concept is insane. But it's to be expected. It's to be expected. We always knew that the attack was going to come. Well, lo and behold, in 2017, the long and short of it is, you can get the full story in the book Hijacking Bitcoin by Roger Ver and Steve Patterson, but the long and short of it is essentially the intelligence community infiltrated the blockchain space and agitated for small blocks in order to render Bitcoin a non-competitor, to render Bitcoin an inefficient means of exchange and therefore a non-competitor to the banking crisis. Right? That's what they did. That's how they sort of subverted Satoshi's original vision. And Roger Ver tells this story in the book, and that's why they're trying to attack him. It has nothing to do with taxes. Hell, Roger even filed a FOIA request to find out how much the bastards want from him, and they won't even tell him. Even when compelled by legislation, they refuse to reveal the number. So it's not about what number. It's not about what they're not going to give Roger Ver life in prison for being $10,000 short on his taxes. Right? It's not about that. It's about revealing their crimes and the hijacking of Bitcoin. So what do we do about all this? What's the answer? Well, we know that pseudonymous chains don't work. We know pseudonymity is no longer sufficient. Frankly, guys, the only answer is privacy. Extreme, unrelenting privacy tech and privacy coins. Some of my favorite options right now, obviously we have Monero, which is the OG privacy coin. Works 100% of the time, all the time. Uh, you really can't say enough about Monero. And the proof's in the pudding, right? Isn't there like a, I don't know where Doug is, I think there's like a $70,000 bounty on anybody who cracked the cryptography behind Monero.
With like 600K or
It's up to 600,000 now. So that's how you know that it worked, because the bastards are actually trying to do something about it. We also have Zano, which is a new privacy coin that I absolutely love. And the reason why I love it is because you can tokenize assets and trade them on the Zano blockchain privately. Now think about this. Think about when you can trade stocks and bonds privately. What happens to the dirtbags infesting the SEC? What happens to the lowlives at FINRA who steal a portion of every trade? Right? And what happens, by the way, when they do that? It restricts the amount of capital that flows into the market. It restricts the amount of liquidity that's able to access capital markets. That retards progress and innovation. So once we can disintermediate these people, the world is going to be an amazing place. Imagine when someone in sub-Saharan Africa can buy half of a token of Microsoft or of the next Starbucks or something like that. That will unleash a wave of capital that the world's never seen before, and that is the promise of tokenization. That's one of the reasons I love saying that. Now, there's another coin out there that does something very similar called Firo. Firo. So on Zano, we have the confidential layer and confidential assets. Firo, they have Spark assets, which is very similar. It's the same shit, really. So we have the technology to beat these people back. We just have to use it. And by the way, it's not just cryptocurrencies that I'm talking about. We need to be using private messenger services. We have on the Zano wallet, we have the Matrix messenger service built right in there. So it's like you have a Signal style messenger app built into your Zano wallet. And what's cool about it actually is that you can verify somebody's identity anonymously on the blockchain. I know that sounds kind of crazy. If you think it sounds contradictory, but if you think about it, it actually makes sense. You can verify that you're actually talking to Sal Mayweather or Doug Tubin or something. You know who you're talking to because that identity is verifiable on the blockchain. So those are three great options: Monero, Zano, and Firo. One thing about Zano and Firo is you can register aliases. So Zano, you can have an alias. Firo, you can have a Spark name. So I can send it to Irish Adam instead of sending it to a string of characters. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit easier. The Matrix messenger service. Yeah, so you can use any sort of private messenger service that uses end-to-end encryption. That's the key, though. End-to-end encryption. That's the gold standard for messenger apps, guys. Signal. Telegram is like optional, but I think they do have it built in. I believe all iMessages are end-to-end encrypted, but I wouldn't trust that. So yeah, that's essentially that's basically all I wanted to tell you guys was that what agorism is and why, as agorists, we should be focused on fighting the banking cartel, and a little bit about how we need to fight the banking cartel, which is, of course, through privacy coins, because pseudonymity is no more sufficient. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there and turn it back to my main man, Doug. I told him what I got to tell him, Doug. Well, that's my mic drop. I love that shirt, by the way, man. You gotta get me one of those. Hey. Don't spy on me. All right. What questions? You know for Sal. More class. I caught for the time. But do people have questions?
Yes. Do you think they will eventually break the code for Monero?
Oh, you're asking. Okay, Monero thing.
No, I don't. I think if they could, they would. And they're trying like hell. We were just talking about the bounty that they have, like a standing bounty on the code behind Monero. Monero is one of the safest coins you can actually use because it's time tested and proven.
Yeah, it's not really so much they're trying to break Monero; they're trying to trace Monero transactions.
So they basically, yeah, the federal government put out a bounty to chain analysis companies to see if anybody can fulfill this RFP and figure out how to trace Monero. And I think they claim the reward on the Lightning Network because they have also put on that at the same time. But yeah, Monero, as far as we know, now, I mean, this turns a very long conversation. I mean, there are things about Monero that need to be improved in terms of preventing chain analysis, and we have a big upgrade that's coming, hopefully within the next year, called full chain membership proofs. Which once that is implemented, really the one attack vector that existed against Monero's privacy, which is its ring signature element, that will be deprecated, and there'll really be no data for them to gather. Like right now, they can't trace Monero really in any way, but they can use some data against this one portion of Monero's technology to kind of correlate and have a better guess at who a true sender might be of a Monero transaction. That's Monero's maybe arguably one weakness, and that's only if they're really like coming after you. They have a bunch of data from your transactions on exchanges. They might be able to probabilistically be like, well, we think Sal might be in that group of people who could have sent the Monero transaction, and that's the one attack vector right now. That's being eliminated.
One thing I actually forgot to mention was the whole aspect of privacy that I wanted to bring up that I forgot was wallets and storing it and what's the best way to do that. There's a couple great options out there. Obviously, so you have like for mobile wallet apps, you have Cake Wallet and Edge, which are sick options. As you can see, I'm repping Edge right now. I love Edge. We also have Crypto Steel, which is a hardware wallet. It's actually indestructible. I don't know if you've seen our show on the Subversive Spectrum, but me and this guy, Irish Adam, we actually tried.
Blew the hell out of it.
We blew it up. We put it on fire. We ran it over. We threw it off a building, and it was like the secret was untouched. So yeah, it's like a space grade steel capsule kind of thing. I mean, you can fucking like blow this thing. We did, and it just will not be destroyed. So yeah, check out some of those options are great, but the key there, guys, is non-custodial options. You want to make sure you're holding your own keys. Obviously, if you're having an Utopia or you're at Porteous, you probably know this shit, but you just got to drive that home because we're talking about privacy. That's kind of you got further than long.
Awesome, man. Sure, you want to leave? I mean, you got the stage.
I mean, you tell me what we're doing.
I don't know. I mean, you did a pretty long podcast, Sandy.
Oh man, we went for like
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
And he was our final guest on the show.
As
Our
I
only recurring guest.
I drove all the way down to New York City and back in the
Same day.
Well, I went the night before and then in the middle of the night.
And then you showed on a podcast.
Great graduation. I could not.
You're back here for our show?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I had to make it back for this guy.
I love this guy.
Yeah, a little wild, a little crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I think we'll cut it here then. We'll leave the stream running a little bit and we'll see if there's anybody else that wants to come up on stage that we can pull out. It's a beautiful day here at Pork Fest. Thousands of people here. Ross just gave his talk. We screamed that out to everybody.
Incredible. It was like actually emotional.
Yeah.
Like he was talking about how he had to like face himself in the mirror and like come to terms with the fact he's gonna ruin his life. That like it's man. As a man, that like you just feel like it, you know.
Well, that was like one of the things when I was driving back up after driving down. Those moments was sucks. And I went back to Ross's mom, where the day before we were hanging out in the tent, and it was pouring rain. We were all huddled up in the tent. We're like, oh man, it sucks. Everything's getting wet. And she was like, I remember every day in the rain when Ross was in prison. I was just like, really cares, right? He'd be out there dancing naked in the rain.
Right.
And so, I mean, that really is the message, right? Appreciate the liberty you have, you know,
In the moment.
yeah, and have the gratitude, right? When your life, things may not be going your way, you're frustrated.
And that was kind of what he was saying.
You're not in that situation.
Right.
They've taken everything away from you, right? So,
Yeah, and that was sort of what he was saying. That was kind of the message of what he said. Whereas if you can like actually leave desire at the front door, your suffering will actually go down because your want of things goes down. Yeah, it makes sense. It's the kind of reflection that you would expect somebody who did 10 years in a can to have, you know?
yeah. I mean, that's the only way you can really rationally stay sane.
Yeah.
And adjust your perception on things. And at that point, you're just like, well, at least I'm alive, right? At least here I can still make choices. There's still things I can do.
Yeah, that was. I think that was sort of when we realized that like pseudonymity was not sufficient. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's when they like. Well, that's when we should have realized it. Really.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for us, Bitcoin was not untraceable.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm not saying they wouldn't have potentially caught him in other ways, but
They evolved like a parasite, and they developed blockchain analytics, just like a parasite evolves to like find new ways. Yes,
Bitcoin.
Yes.
And then like everybody's tweeting like, oh, now we need security, this, that.
Mhm.
If he had received a Monero donation to his Monero address,
Right.
nobody would know
Right.
how much he received, if he received anything,
Right.
if he got any
I didn't think
transaction.
about that. You're right.
Privacy is secured. I was gonna bring it up on stage right after something. I also don't want to come across the wrong way.
You're right. Though.
It's like privacy is security. I think
No
I'm
doubt.
sure this has even crossed Ross's mind.
That's why KYC is so dangerous because KYC forces you to expose yourself to the most dangerous people on earth. By the way, the governments. Right? These are the most dangerous people on earth. It's not the people out there that you want to hide your information from. It's the parasites. It's the politicians. And KYC forces you to do that. Look at the Coinbase hack. Right? All those people the only reason why their information was revealed was because it was forcibly taken from them. They were forced to reveal to the KYC process. So you're absolutely right. Like privacy is security.
100%.
You know.
100%. Yeah, so we could we'll wrap it up here. I guess we'll leave the stream running for a little bit. I'll see if I can find anybody else that wants to jump up on stage. And yeah, we'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Woo!